by fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Hey everybody, it's the Hog Style. The season's almost out of reach, but you can count on us to continue to steer the ship of Redskins fandom, even as the weaker of us begin to jump off. So welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Sean. I got the whole crew here. It's Alex Zeese, Jamal Forrest, and Steve Thomas around the table today. How you guys holding up?
It feels like forever since we've all been doing this together.
Because it has been like 2 weeks. Yeah.
It's the holiday schedule, man.
Holiday schedule.
Well, hopefully we don't have that problem over Christmas, but we'll keep you guys apprised if we do.
Yeah,
how you doing, Steve?
I'm fine, and we had the news flashes. We haven't thought that far ahead.
No,
this is true.
We're doing this by flying by the seat of our pants here,
right?
Somewhat with this holiday season. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm fine. It's finally got cold here, which bums me out. It's a long pants weather officially now, so.
What, 60 degrees?
Kind of bummed about. Dude, it was down to like the upper 40s this morning. I was, I didn't know what to do with myself. I still didn't bring a jacket, but not gonna go that far.
Broncos land here salutes you. We've been dealing with this for a few months now.
It was 70.
It's already snowed like 5 times.
It was 70 degrees yesterday. So it's just today. Hopefully,
70?
Yeah, hopefully it'll be gone tomorrow. I mean, maybe winter has come and gone today.
I don't want to get us off topic, but Sean, are you a snowboarder or a skier?
I'm a snowboarder. This is kind of the place to be in the whole country, it seems. There's like 50 different places I can go to. So, hey, I'm new to Colorado, so I didn't go as much last year as I wanted to, but this year I plan on. They've got a pass here that's good for like 50 different places.
Oh, wow.
I used to be a big skier back when I was in my teens and 20s.
I went a few times.
Well, you got to come out here for a visit.
Yeah.
I went a few times, but I stopped going. I guess we stopped because we couldn't make the trips anymore for my school. But I loved it. I did snowboard. I didn't like it.
Sure.
I'm gonna take a wild stab and say that Sean's just doing it to meet the snow bunnies.
Oh well.
It doesn't hurt. Don't put me on blast like that on the show, though, Steve. They think I'm a nice, respectable young boy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they. There's no reason to suspect otherwise.
Right.
Yeah. No, that ship sailed a long time ago. Okay. Anyways, let's get into the show now. I understand before we can kick things off. We have a poll this week, and I think Steve, you told me the topic here. It seems like a great way to start because it has to do with moving into these last few weeks of the season. So tell us, what is the poll this week?
Yes, I finally got off my butt and did a poll. You guys don't know how difficult it is to come up with these good poll questions every week. That's why we don't do it during the season.
Right.
But I have one today. So the poll question is, now that the competitive portion of the season is essentially over, how do you want the Redskins to approach the remaining 4 games? We only had 3 options this week instead of the normal 4. The 3 options are win out at all costs, approach each game normally, or tank baby tank. Those are the 3 questions, 3 options. We got a ton of comments on this and a ton of votes, so people are interested in this topic for some reason. So let's do what we normally do here and have you guys predict what the public thinks here. So, Sean.
This is so hard. Yeah.
You get to go first today.
What
do you think the public is going to vote for in this poll? And then what do you think?
Oh, man. You guys are going to think I'm blasphemous for saying this, but there's such good arguments to be made for all of those options, I feel like.
That's
Steve.
why it was a good poll.
It's a great poll, and I am personally torn about that. So, again, just to be clear, it was win out or nothing, tank completely, or what was the other option?
Play as you normally would. Approach
play as you normally would. Oh, man. I have no idea what the public's going to say.
Gun to your head.
On this. But I'm gonna go ahead and venture a guess that they're going to say, I bet they went cynical. I'm going to say they said tank by a slim margin.
No, what
as far as my personal answer, I'll throw in there. Yeah, it's totally tank. I'll explain it later.
Okay, Jamal, what do you think?
I think it's tank. I think it's tank. But me personally, I would do just approach each game normally. That's more so because that's just the type of person I am. Like my DNA, I'm a competitor. So.
It's the reasonable answer.
It kind of kills me by default because the logical thing or the most reasonable thing if you're not in playoff contention is get a higher draft pick. But if you're a competitor, you just can't help yourself. You want to win, so
yeah,
that's just me.
And that's what you want to see from football players too, frankly.
Yeah. So approach each game normally.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm not sure what approach each game normally really means compared to try and win out.
Well, let me
Like-
explain what I meant by that. Maybe
Yeah.
it didn't come across, but what I meant by that is, do we pretend like we're having a playoff push and so we run everybody into the ground trying to win? Or do we just
Right.
play each game as we would normally play them and whatever happens, happens? Or tank would mean we're
Well,
pulling
tank, I
guys.
understand, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean by
Yeah.
that.
I just because to me, and I think I'm similar to Jamal on this. I want to win all 4, but I also want to win all 16 at the start of the year. So for me, you approach each game normally, as in you approach each game like you want to win out. So, it's
Okay.
kind of like it's one of those two for me. So I'll say, just for variety, I want to win out at all costs.
Okay. Well, the public kind of surprised me on this poll, actually, by a vote of 42%. They voted
Whoa.
for approach each game normally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Middle
Everybody
ground.
controlling. Yeah, a very moderate answer.
Yeah,
Okay,
moderate
fair
answer.
enough, folks.
And, of course, the second place vote were the cynical bunch. That was by 35% voted for tanking.
I knew you guys would turn out for me.
Yeah, I know. This is the cut Kirk Cousins crowd that's voting tank.
Right.
And then 23, bringing up the 23% was win out at all costs. Those are the few vain holdouts who still pretend like there's playoff.
I mean,
there's a
statistically,
playoff
there's
spot
like 0.4% chance, right? Something like
You're
that.
saying there's a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we got a lot of comments to this, but I'm not going to read all these, but I'll
Wow.
read a couple. First one here, this is apparently a very political person whose name is It's Mueller Time at Resists 1972. I don't think this is a person I personally would get along with, but I like her. Her comment is fine. I want to rest.
I'm picking up what you're putting down,
Yeah,
Mother Time. I'm picking it up.
Her comment was, I want to rest all of our injured players for the remainder of the season. If that means we lose, so be it. That was kind of a theme through a lot of these
Sure.
comments was, rest and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum, Sean75, who has, his handle is Rest in Peace ST21.
Sean, I didn't know that was your handle.
No, this is spelled SHAWNN.
Oh, well, wrong
so-
spelled Sean.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he has 70.
By the way, that's ridiculous.
And he has
Sorry.
75 on it, so that means he's about 20 years younger, older than Sean. Or Sean. His comment was, win out at all costs. Tanking will do nothing for this team organization. They ruin everything anyway. Once Bruce leaves, maybe things will get better. Another theme there.
Yeah,
And
I bet.
I'll read one more here. This is from Fourth and Wrong. At Fourth and Wrong. Wins have zero value to us now. Losses have draft implication value. Take the outcome that has value. I don't understand why anyone would want to try to win the rest. Well, you know what, Fourth and Wrong, you're totally wrong. You lived up to your handle. My personal feelings on this, I'm with Jamal totally. I'm way too competitive to ever try to lose and ever root for my team to lose. I really don't care about draft position, and I think it means a whole lot less in the NFL than it does in the NBA anyway.
Yeah.
So I want to win out. I want to have this team have a 9-7 record and go out despite all of the controversy and all the things that happen. I want to see winning record. So that's where I would have voted if I had voted, which I did.
I mean, I hate to say this because it does sound like loser talk in a way, but if we end up with 9-7 or even an 8-8 record after the other things that have happened with this team, I'm pretty happy at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Me too.
I also think the worst thing. Let me scoot up. I think the worst thing too, with losing out, is the implication that it has on this team as well. I think I answered this question. I'm not sure, or maybe I seen two different questions. But if you want to go 8-8 or 9-7, that's one thing. But if you want to go 5-11, don't expect the coaching staff that some like to still be here after that 5-11 season, because if you're 5-11 at the end of the season, or you're 6-10, that means you went 1-4 down the stretch, or 0-6,
Right.
whatever it was down the stretch. So that is just something that you want to avoid, because if you do that, those are coaching changes right there. Maybe managerial changes. You wanted to get rid of the general manager, that may be one thing, but at the same time, Jay Gruden that's a scapegoat. If we go 5-11, and you don't want to do that, and I don't think he deserves that, especially after all the stuff they went through.
So that's kind of actually an interesting point. Do you guys think that that's true? Do you guys think that if we lose out, is Jay Gruden in imminent risk? you
I mean,
think?
if we lose, see, the thing to me is the fourth quarter of this season is the easiest quarter we've had. We've had
Right.
the toughest schedule in the NFL so far, and we're finally playing some teams that at least the Redskins probably should win. At least 3 of these games, right? I mean, the Chargers is a tough game, but you're talking Cardinals, Broncos, Giants, and the Giants are like a dumpster fire of, that's
Well, they
engulfing the city
upgraded
of
at
New
head
York.
coach. I'll give them that. I mean, you know,
That's not
Not
saying
enough
much.
to save Eli's streak, though.
So I mean, Jamal is right. If the Redskins end up going 1-4 and end up 10-6, or 6-10 rather, with this schedule coming up, that's a problem. I don't think Jay's in any danger now, but if the team just completely falls apart and looks like a disaster,
Right.
against teams they should win, then maybe we'll talk. But yeah, I mean, but Jay just signed a new extension. They don't want to pay out his contract just to get rid of him.
yeah, they would be giving
Right.
him $20 million or something like that to sit around.
Yeah, whatever the number is. The number isn't public, but yeah, it's a lot of money.
I'm guessing it's based off of, I think his last one they eventually said it was $5 million a year or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we could guess, but
Yeah.
the point is, it's many, many millions to do nothing, and I
Right.
don't think Dan Snyder wants to do that.
Right. I mean, he might do that to a guy like Shanahan in the last year, but
Yeah, or like Jim Zorn, okay,
Yeah.
you got to go. But I mean, Jay with multiple years left, who's been a good coach. No matter what you guys think out there, Jay has been a pretty good coach, and unless it's just the wheels totally fall off the machine,
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You doubt he's.
I
Sure.
saw a website, and, it's kind of PFF-ish, so I don't give it too much credibility.
Pox on you.
But these guys are trying to analyze head coaches, and they have Jay in like the top 8, which is
What are their criterion
Really?
through which they are?
how guys utilize personnel, game planning,
Are
in-game
they
management.
trying to quantify that though?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a bunch
tough.
of guys kind of polling themselves internally and then coming up with numbers.
So it's total. It's another garbage site that's
I mean,
trying to
I think
quantify
it's-
and objectify subjective evaluations.
I mean, it's
Some
very
people would
hard
say
to,
that about us as well, Steve.
We've never quantified subjective evaluations.
Yeah, we don't quantify shit over
Right.
here. We stay away from that problem. You're right. Okay, you know what I want to ask before we get off this topic, guys? Do you think that, because the Redskins have had in the last few years, I think a lot of people have pointed out, they have been, consistently bad, underperforming, but, rarely do the Redskins find themselves, it seems, in like a suck for luck situation where they really do get that high value pick or whatever. So I'm just curious, do you think that sort of middling status of this team has hurt ultimately the draft and this team long term?
No,
in other words, if the people, do you think there's any credence to say lose out, get as much value as you can from the
I
loss?
don't. Not in the NFL. I think bad
Yeah.
drafting has hurt us more than
basically,
anything
I mean,
else.
to be in the first round, that's
Poor
the goal.
decisions.
The
Yeah.
thing that's hurt us is not having first round picks, not having picks in every single round.
Right.
We have picks in every single round at this point. So,
Right.
A lot
for
of
you
trade
to-
downs.
For you to tank to get a higher pick, that's just unacceptable. But if you're in the mid-teens, that's not really hurting your value. You're still getting one of the best 16 players in the NFL that you feel is one of the best 16 players in the NFL. We got Jonathan Allen at 17. Like, come on.
It should be a blue chipper at that point, yeah.
See, I think it
it's
matters
such
a
a
whole lot
gamble.
more in the NBA because in the NBA draft, there's only 60 players get drafted, number one, and there's only maybe 5 or 6 rookies that end up being stars every year at most.
Well,
And so
5 or
everybody's
6
trying
are like locks, and then you'll have another 5 that 5 years down the road turn out to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, but of those, about 5 or 6 end up being,
Right.
perennial all-star type
Right,
players.
yeah.
Yeah,
If even.
and so that's what everybody's trying to get in the NBA. But in the NFL, 7 rounds, 32 players. You have,
Right.
guys drafted in the 7th round end up in the Hall of Fame, and so my answer to Sean's question is, no, I don't think it matters.
I mean, I only think
Fair enough.
high-value draft picks are good in the sense that you can trade them back for a buttload more picks. And we see this happening more and more in the NFL where, like,
think
the
the Browns
Browns have done it,
because they're
the Eagles have done it. Now, you can...
Well, what good has it done the Browns?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can debate maybe they should have taken a guy like Carson Wentz, yeah, but,
can't just-
the-
you know
the
how- you guys
principle
know
of,
how I
hey,
feel
why don't you
about
get
it.
3 picks for 1,
You guys know
it
how I
makes
feel
sense.
about trading high draft picks. I hate doing that. I don't mind moving back a spot or two, but the idea of taking a first rounder and trading it for a second and a third or something like the Browns have been doing, I think is just dumb.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't trade a first rounder for anything but a first rounder plus another first rounder generally, but
Well, hey, we'll have an entire freaking off season to discuss this topic. I'm sure.
Yeah, we will.
Beat it to death.
Sean is
mercilessly.
getting us back on track.
Yeah, I'm just very wary of the mock drafts and the draft conversations that are in our near future, fellas.
Because it's coming.
It's coming, and it's going to be exhausting. Yeah, see, Alex tipped us off weeks ago that he'd already started, so we knew this was coming. Okay, well, shall we get into the preview of this week, guys? I know it's not the most exciting, it's not the most hopeful necessarily thing to talk about, but we've got to do it. You ready to talk some Chargers?
Sure.
The first thing I like to point out is that I actually wrote Oddshark a note and asked them if they have an over and under on the attendance for this game. Because we're playing in the Chargers 27,000 seat stadium for two teams that are not in playoff contention.
What is it? The LA Galaxy Soccer Stadium or something?
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
yes,
that's so. I mean, I think it kind of looks cool just to see it played in a small stadium once in a while, but that's embarrassing. That's your full-time
stadium. It looks like a high
stadium.
School game is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Where I'm at,
intramural
for those
frisbee
of you
has it reserved.
For those of you who don't know, I'm in Texas, and there are literally high school stadiums that are bigger than what the LA Chargers are playing in.
Yeah, I've been out your way. I've seen those stadiums.
Yeah,
they're nice.
I mean, they've spent a lot of money in some of these places.
Just because y'all are freaks for your football.
Yeah.
I'm not. Don't lump me in with Texans, okay? I'm here for a specific reason, and it's not because I have my Yeehaw Texas flag in my yard, okay?
Just because he's on the run. That's
I'm
why.
on the
Can we
lam.
buy Steve a Hee-Haw Texas flag?
Please don't. I would appreciate it if you don't. Let's talk.
Well,
preview,
I know
shall
what
we?
someone's getting for Christmas.
Can we steer this back to the Chargers, please?
Yeah, okay, if we must. You're getting that for Christmas, though. Okay, so for the context for folks at home, by the way, Chargers absolutely on fire right now. I think, what is this, going for the fourth in a row,
Yeah.
Steve? Or anybody
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong? Is this going to be their fourth win?
Yeah, they are 6-2 in their last 8 games. They are absolutely on fire. That is exactly true.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
interesting to me is why they're on fire. And yes, they're going for their 4th in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Because this team is kind of a mystery racked up in an enigma in some ways to me. Because you know what they're a lot like the 2016 Redskins, to be quite honest. They have an amazing passing game.
Yeah.
Second passing
that they
yards.
do.
Phillip Rivers is having an incredible year. He's almost at 3,300 yards passing. Keenan Allen, one of the top receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
4th in
I think
target.
the top, isn't he?
Well, it depends on what measure you want to do. He's 5th in yards, 4th in targets, 4th in receptions, 13.4 yards per catch. That's their primary weapon. If you want to preview what's going to happen Sunday, it's going to be a lot of Rivers to Allen, a lot.
Right.
The corollary to that is they're not a good rushing team. Melvin Gordon's their rushing leader. He is 9th in yardage, but that's because he's had a lot of carries. He's 3.7 yards per attempt, and they're 26th in rushing yards. So they're a heck of a passing team, but they're not a very good rushing team. So that's I don't know what you guys think, but I think we're going to see a lot of Phillip Rivers.
I mean, I think I agree. I think it's interesting to ponder how Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning, we all know their kind of careers have been intertwined since they were drafted. And at the same time, I mean, you can look at it, and Rivers is really just booming this year, whereas Eli is falling apart, which, I wonder, if guys could go back and do it over again, how would they have analyzed that whole situation?
Eli's had MVP caliber years, and he's not falling apart. He didn't have a terrible year this year. He just wasn't, it wasn't an MVP year, but
production as he had in like the last 3 or 4 years, which is absolutely minuscule.
Right.
Hasn't been much, so not very impressive. But he's not bad. He's a product of his team.
The one guy I'd also mention who you didn't, and that is they have their own ageless wonder tight end. We have Davis, they have Gates. And I think Gates is what, 37?
Yeah, he's a million years old, but Antonio Gates isn't really producing that much this year. Okay.
Well, they've got their up and coming.
Yeah,
that's true.
they
They
got to
do have
step up in
another
his
guy
place.
behind him.
Hunter Henry
Exactly.
is a guy who's actually starting, and he's had more targets, more catches, more yards. I mean, if you look at the Chargers website, they list Gates as a starter, but it's probably out of disrespect for him because the reality of it is that Hunter Henry is getting most of the playing time.
Well, I think, and I haven't followed them that close to the season, but I think Henry's been getting more and more snaps and slowly sort of gotten that role.
Now I actually saw his only touchdown this year. I think the thing is like Antonio Gates' entire career
he's been building up
in the run game, so that doesn't really help him when they have a younger tight end who's a good pass catcher, but who's also young enough where they can mold into a good run blocker on the inline. So, I mean that helps out Hunter Henry's case and hurts Antonio, who's also 37, like somebody said already. So.
Jamal, give us your thoughts on Melvin Gordon, because part of me says he's a good running back and he could do damage, and the other half of me says he's averaging 3.7 yards per attempt, which is Samaje Perine territory.
I've always been on Melvin Gordon with them, because for a long time, like this year, the Chargers had offensive line problems heading into the draft, and they addressed it. But both of their players, if not one of them, I believe, was lost to IR before the season even started. I can't remember if it was Forrest Lamp or Dan Freeney.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so
it was Lamp.
Lamp.
Lamp is on
early in the
IR.
season, so that just goes back to their offensive line woes. I think Phillip Rivers, he's only got sacked 13 times this year, so they've been better in pass protection because he's not a mobile quarterback. But in terms of the run game, what was you saying?
And that's number one. That's number one in the NFL, by the way, 13 sacks.
Okay,
but sorry, go ahead.
Pass protection. But in terms of their run games, it's been an issue for well before Melvin Gordon got there. I believe Ryan Matthews had 1 year where he went over 1,000. Melvin Gordon he's a not 1 year, but later into his years before he left San Diego, I think he had like a couple 1,000-yard seasons. But point is, Melvin Gordon, he runs the ball very hard. He has good vision and has good hands. I think he 42 catches on the year, which is pretty good for a running back. So it's not necessarily all on him. He's definitely a good running back. Like it's when, for example, when you play the Redskins, and you look at the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just going back to last week. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys and you see that they've been struggling the last 3 weeks running the ball, and for a fact the Redskins are going to have issues stopping the run. And you see the projection that Alfred Morris puts up against us, but they've been struggling the last three weeks. That's the type of team that you're going to be facing again. In terms of the San Diego Chargers, that's the team that you're going up against. So they have a good opportunity to run the ball against us, and it'll display Melvin Gordon's his skills. It'll be everywhere. So he's a good back, and you have to give him the opportunity to show it. And this week, because we can't defend the run, you'll see that within Melvin Gordon, I believe.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it may be the Melvin Gordon show, and they may try to do that. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, he does have a lot of carries on the year. It's not like they're not going to him. He's got 207 attempts.
Sure. I know that much. There's 4 games left. He'll top 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. He's only got, 225 yards to go for that. So,
exactly.
If it goes bad enough, he could get halfway there this weekend.
Well, Steve, I think just talking about their offensive line, I mean, to the points that were just previously made, I think that's really where the mystery and the enigma comes from, because they have had injuries as well. And I read somewhere that the Redskins have used like 20 combinations or something of offensive linemen this year.
Yeah.
They've used like 10 or something, which is still a lot. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, defying all of that, they have been a symbol of kind of consistency, which is surprising and shows in those 13 sacks. I got the word over from Rigo's rag over there. Got to give credit where he's due. He's telling me that Barksdale is the guy to attack on that offensive line. So for what it's worth, I think there's a real weakness there on the right side.
Not necessarily who to attack per se when it comes to the Redskins, because we struggle getting pressure from our best guys. You expect Ryan Kerrigan to go off in big games, and we've talked about this plenty of times on the show. You expect our big guys to go off in important games.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Kerrigan was a non-factor, I believe, in the Cowboys game. I forgot who got the sack, but I think it was a defensive back who got the sack against Dak Prescott last week, the only sack against Dak Prescott. And then weeks before, I mean, it's I just don't get it. So I mean, yes, I understand there is a weakness to the offensive line, but at the same time, it doesn't mean nothing with this defense because we're still inconsistent at rushing the quarterback. We still need that elite pass rusher that we've been lacking for some time now.
Mm-hmm.
God, ain't that the truth?
You're
Ain't that
absolutely
the truth?
right. I mean, we've talked about it before, like you said, that Ryan Kerrigan's a good pass rusher. I've always called him a B+ pass rusher, but I think he's probably, frankly, about a C to C+ run stopper.
Mm-hmm.
He does tend to disappear. I have seen we've all seen him run directly at his side many times, and he just isn't there. He just isn't there.
Yeah.
So that's happened, and I think that's a weakness in his game. Hate to say it. And so you never know. With as beat up as this defensive line is, Terrell McLean's on the injury list this week. We could see the
Has he
Melvin
been on
Gordon
the
show.
list for a couple weeks now?
Yes.
Is that right?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it hasn't been like an all-season thing like some of these guys. He's
Right.
been
I actually
fairly
think he
new.
missed the last
Right.
2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I
So-
know the Cowboys game he missed. I can't even remember honestly about the Cowboys, but I know he missed the Giants one.
I think you're right because I don't remember him getting any snaps when I was doing my little chart of the snap counts.
Your nerdy snap chart,
Yeah.
you dork. User, excuse me. Anything else you guys want to call out on defense? I mean, what are we saying? The idea here is it's kind of obviously you got to stop Melvin Gordon though. He's had a sort of ambiguous year in terms of
Keenan
his
Allen.
stats,
Keenan
and then
Allen
Keenan
is the
Allen
guy.
is the
He
real
played
one.
a solid
Allen
game for the
is-
most
yeah.
part against Dallas. It was the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like the 2 touchdowns negates the good game that he had because you don't give up touchdowns. Like that's as a
Mhm.
cornerback, that's just what you don't do. You don't give up touchdowns. He gave up 2, but outside of the red zone, he had a good game. But he's just gonna have to step up because they line Keenan Allen up a lot of places. So he'll have plenty of matches against Keenan Allen. He'll have to step up and ball out. I don't really have a problem with Norman. He plays well against physical receivers, but at the same time, he does struggle against shifty ones. And Keenan Allen is a shifty receiver. And now that I think about it, Kendall Fuller's going to have his matchups with Keenan Allen too because he lines up everywhere. He lines up in the slot as well. So it's going to be important for all 3 of these guys, but more importantly, Breland because how he played last week.
You know what about Keenan Allen is I think he plays into the hands of both Josh Norman and Bashaud Breeland a little bit. He's not Antonio Brown, okay? He's not Deshaun Jackson. This kid ran like a 4.7 in his 40 at his combine several years ago. He's 6'2", 205 to 210. He's a bigger guy. Yes, he's shifty. Yes, he runs routes well. But I think that's a type of receiver that both Norman and Breeland can probably do pretty well at, or at least maybe limit the damage. Because Keenan Allen's going to get his. He just is. The trick is to kind of limit the impact, and I think they'll have a pretty good shot at it. I think he's the type of receiver that may play into their hands better than some of the smaller, quicker guys.
I would also add, keep DJ, kind of back in his zone as much as possible and kind of spying wherever Allen's going to be because, if there's one thing about Rivers, is he's going to try to go deep to him, and I think that Swearinger, if he's playing it right, that's when he's going to have his shot at interceptions, really.
They both get deep. So I agree, but I also think I agree that they're going to take their shots to Keenan Allen. I also feel like if they focus too hard on Keenan Allen, people like Travis Benjamin and Hunter Henry is going to have damn good games, and I think Hunter Henry will have one by default because the Redskins struggle to defend tight ends. But in terms of just overall like controlling the game, if Melvin Gordon gets off, Phil Rivers will have his pick of the litter when it comes to any of these receivers and who to target in certain situations. He doesn't have to key on Keenan Allen.
Sure.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, Hunter Henry is the second most targeted player on this team. He's got 53 targets. To Keenan Allen's double everybody else, but Hunter Henry's his next favorite target. So, and like Jamal said, we all know what happens with Redskins and tight ends.
No, we've known that for years.
I think we could line Sean up at tight end, and you would do pretty well against the Redskins defense.
I would do great, Steve. Give me the credit, man.
You just gained a foot and 100 pounds, you would do well.
Yeah, at least. All right, well, let's. Anything else you guys want to add on defense before we start shifting over, talk about Redskins offense, or do we miss anything?
Our defense, I would like to point out two things. Number one, our red zone defense has fallen into the atrocious territory. It was okay for most of the year statistically, but we're down to 29th in the NFL in red zone defense.
We've had two really bad defensive games in a row. So
yeah, I know. Like I said, we've fallen down to that, and that's how far we've fallen.
2 of 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really been 2. But anyway, and then the other thing I'd like to point out is we have fallen down to 30th in points surrendered. We didn't start off like that. We started off pretty well, but these past several games have done a number statistically. Mm-hmm. So we are approaching 2016 defense territory once again in terms of some of these stats that we all thought we were doing better.
Right.
Holy moly.
See, this is just something that I've been wondering because I know the Redskins have allowed a lot of points on offense this year. Interceptions for touchdowns and things. Mm-hmm. Does anybody ever recalculate it with that you know of, because the Redskins have had 30 points allowed by the offense.
Most of these, most of the tracking stats don't take that into account. I think I'd probably have to do that manually, which I haven't tried to,
haven't tried it before. I get it.
Yeah, no. Maybe that's another thing for the offseason.
Yeah.
To kind of look at that.
Yeah, I kind of
start an offensive point surrender jar and just put a penny in it every time something happens.
Yeah, I mean, I did it for
bonus
the Redskins
savings
just out of curiosity at one point. And I was like, man, 30 points is a lot for an offense.
Well, because that came into play several years ago when our special teams were so bad and we gave up so many touchdowns, and it really affected the defensive numbers quite a bit. Yeah, it was 2013. So anyway, but I wanted to point those two things out on defense.
Sure.
Great. Let's talk offensively. And here's a thing that I read. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong because you're the stat man, but it looks to me like Phillip Rivers and Kirk Cousins have shockingly similar statistics this year. In fact, I feel like that just goes to show you how things can look very different depending on the perspective that you have. These guys, honestly, in a lot of ways, no matter how you slice it, I mean, they've had very similar years to this point. Like something like 5 yards separate their total yardage. The touchdowns are the same.
You want to
go ahead if you got them.
Exactly how similar they are. Cousins,
go ahead.
32. This is gross yardage. 3,289 passing yards. Rivers, 3,292. So 3 yards difference.
So 3 yards.
They both have thrown 21 touchdowns. They both. Rivers has 7 interceptions. Cousins has 8. Cousins' quarterback rating is 99.6. Rivers is 96.0. Very, very similar.
So Kirk a little bit higher completion percentage, I'm assuming then.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Kirk has a completion percentage of almost 67%, just a hair under that, and Rivers is at about 63%, which tells you he goes downfield more, which we know. And then Rivers has a few more pass attempts, 431 to 413. But yes, those numbers are remarkably similar. Similar. Very true. Good point.
Just thought it was worth pointing out they're not even, it seems, entirely that different. In terms of the way that they play the game, too, which is interesting. But what do you guys think is the offensive prognosis this week? Jamal said something a couple weeks ago I think was really true, which is that you can pin a lot of blame on the defense when they give up something like 30 points, but when you look at it, and we were just talking about this, I know, it's offensive points, opportunities squandered that really tell the story of this game. So can we hold on to the freaking ball this week, guys, and can we score when we have it?
From my perspective as, the stat man here, looking at what the the Los Angeles Chargers have done on defense, essentially they are a pretty darn good pass defending team. They are atrocious against the run. One of the worst defenses, maybe the worst defense we've faced thus far against the run. 31st in rushing yards, 31 in rushing yards per attempt. They're giving up 4.8 yards per rush attempt, which is just incredible. Yet passing fifth in passing yards. Their opposing quarterback rating 76.6.
Wow.
So what you need to do against the Chargers is you need to be able to run the ball effectively. Run the ball effectively. Now, of course, we're a bad rushing team. And so this is going to be a day when Samaje is going to have to step up and run like the guy we all hope he can be and not the guy he's been, which is inconsistent. A guy who has his moments but is inconsistent. We need a consistent Samaje Perine who's going to run for 120 yards.
Right.
That is how you beat San Diego. I keep saying San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Well, at least you're not calling them the Dodgers or something,
Yeah.
The San Diego
true.
Dodgers.
See, that's just it. No.
He doesn't even want to hear those words.
San
Together.
Diego Dodgers.
Well,
no.
I mean, come on.
God.
Didn't they rip off the Dodgers logo for their new LA logo?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they changed that, though.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay.
They changed the colors around a little bit because it literally was
Yeah, I
the Dodgers logo.
It was the
exactly,
Dodgers
pretty much.
logo with a little lightning bolt.
Yeah, and they I think they changed the colors.
Smart.
Anyway, so point is,
well-
that's my point is I think we need to run the ball effectively against this guys because the other thing is they've had 35 sacks on the year. Joey Bosa 11.5. They have 15 interceptions. These guys, that's the reason why their pass defense is so good. They get a lot of sacks, put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and they've intercepted a lot of balls.
They have real. The one thing I noticed watching, some of their video and stuff, they have some really good speed at linebacker. I'm surprised they struggle against the run with that, but it was just noticeable in the passing game.
Yeah, see, I wish I could put more context into why they're so radically different in terms of, the run and the pass, but I saw the same statistics. What you're saying, essentially, Steve, is that this could be a bounce-back game for the rushing attack. It seems like we're able to play teams, even though we have very poor rushing attack, it seems like we're able to play teams pretty well that are poor against the run anyway. Done that a couple times in the last few weeks, it seems. Samaje's had, 2-3 games on the season or something, and I think
he did well against the Giants. He did well against the Saints, both teams that he should have done well against.
Right.
And he did.
See, there you go. So that I guess you could say that certainly bodes well for things. But, I mean, when I hear things like they're able to get consistent pressure and they get a lot of sacks, I mean, you get visions of the last few weeks. I mean, we know what that means for Kirk. And he can't really eat hits, I think, like he did last week.
Well, I mean,
something's got to give there.
It's a question of our O-line's health then, if that's the case, because, I mean, let's be honest, the Thursday night games, I mean, it's not an excuse, but, it tends to gas these guys more. Now they've had 10 days off, so, it's almost like it's that mini bye week finally for the Skins. I hope that means Trent Williams is playing a little better because, he gets all the credit for going out there, but he is not. He's been a shell of what Trent Williams can be.
He has.
And,
he has.
It's been obvious.
Well, and in terms of this running thing, I also like to point out that, the Cleveland Browns only ran for 89 yards against them. The Dallas Cowboys, which was the Ezekiel Elliott-less Cowboys, only ran for 79. The Bills went crazy, 173 yards. The Jaguars.
Bills also lost by like 500 points.
It was 54-24.
Worth mentioning.
My point is, the Bills put up a ton of rushing yards.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette put up a really good game against them. The Giants put up a huge game against them. The Eagles ran a ton against them. The Chiefs, with Kareem Hunt put up a lot of yards against them. But some, a couple teams haven't. The Broncos didn't. Dallas didn't. The Browns didn't. Dallas being a poor rushing team, unless they're playing us without Ezekiel Elliott.
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of like it's so hard to talk about this offense because we have to say the same things every week. But I still, despite this defense, and I know that it's a formidable one, we will have the chances if we can limit our own mistakes. If we can limit the turnovers and stop coughing the ball up against this team, we'll move the ball. When have we really not moved it at all?
Well, it's like, we say that literally almost every week. If they just can play mistake-free football, we can play the tape of that.
And if you look at their wins, they're mistake-free.
They have 7 losses.
True.
That's right.
And it's not just on the offense, but just in general. Since we're speaking about the offensive side of the ball, though, things that does kill us is those simple mistakes. It's hardly any penalties that really kills us, but it's more so drop passes, miscues in terms of chemistry off
Yeah.
the quarterback to receiver, running back, quarterback. Probably maybe a misprotection here or there. So it's all mental mistakes that has hardly anything to do with the officials. We're literally beating ourselves, and that's the thing that kills us weekly. When it comes to the Chargers
Yep.
this week, it's gonna be the same situation. Like I have full confidence if we're able to get at least the starting five. I don't know if Morgan Moses is playing. I don't know if he even practiced this week, but we're able to get some type of formidable offensive line out there. Cousins would do just fine. But after that is what really worries me.
Yeah, I'd like to.
because You can't really count on these guys week in and week out because we know for a fact they've been inconsistent all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the points the Chargers scored, the Chargers this season have been very weak in the first quarter. They've only scored 31 points in the first quarter all year. Redskins are at 60, but they come alive in the second quarter. 100 points in the second quarter.
Wow.
So that's been their big.
pretty
That's
impressive.
been their big quarter. It's the second quarter. So, it's a situation where the Redskins need to come out strong, come out hot. Score touchdowns in the first quarter and kind of hang on a little bit in the second quarter. Let me do injuries real fast. We'll run through this since Jamal brought it up. We only have 3 Wednesday nights so far. Zach Brown, Morgan Moses, Monte Nicholson, Jordan Reed, Trent Williams did not practice Wednesday. Nicholson, according to Jay Gruden, in his press conference, has had a setback in his concussion protocol, so I would assuming
That's
he's probably not
worrying.
going to be there. Yeah. Limited guys, Maurice Harris, who's also in concussion protocol, Terrell McLean with the toe injury, Chase Roullier with the hand injury. He's apparently snapped the ball, so that's progress at least because it's a snapping hand, I think. Martrell Spate, limited. Ioannidis, Lanier, and Seki Scherf are on the injury list, but they're full practice. So that is the Redskins. The Chargers, the only ones of note, Antonio Gates, we talked about, got a day of rest. He didn't practice. They only have 6 people on their list, and nobody excited me too much. So the Chargers are fairly healthy,
Right.
unlike us. So that's injuries.
The tail of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really will be when we look back on this. I think that's going to
yeah.
be the biggest story. Okay, well, I say we should start thinking about wrapping this thing up. We're a little bit over. I know we had a couple other things potentially that we could talk about. Do we want to bring up any of these other topics? I think we had something of an update on free agency or impending free agency.
I mean,
we can save that for next time.
I can just mention, because it was kind of a big thing when it came out, and we don't need to discuss it, but there was apparently a story that came out that the Redskins have started talking with Zach Brown and his agent in terms of a contract extension. And the little tidbit that I saw reported by NBC Sports, not CSN anymore, was that one of the reasons that they haven't done anything yet is because the Redskins have so little money left in terms of 2017 cap that they really can't offer him a contract where they would increase his pay this year, which is what a lot of guys are looking for around now. So
Okay, that's not going to happen.
yeah, we have like 1.5 million left in space.
Yeah, number one, we have less than $2 million left.
Yeah.
I just updated the cap chart last weekend. But number two is they're not going to increase his pay this year. You're talking about, an extension of the existing contract.
Well,
to
apparently this
extend
is
him
something
into
the Eagles
18
did
beyond.
with their wide receiver they
I'm
just
just telling you,
re-signed.
the Redskins aren't going to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Redskins
That's
aren't
what they
gonna
were
do
saying too. The Redskins can't do it.
Well, they don't have a history of that either. In contract stuff.
Sure.
Look, I mean, they need to
do
re-sign.
whatever he wants to make him happy to
They
be
need to
here, roll
re-sign
out the
Zach
red
Brown.
carpet.
He's not the
Exactly.
perfect linebacker, though. Let's be honest about
No,
what
but
Zach
he's an
Brown is.
obvious sign.
He's an obvious signing, but he does have a weakness in pass pro.
Sure.
He has disappeared at times in games. He's leading the NFL in tackles.
Tackles.
Still,
Sure.
even after being beat the hell
But the
up
dude-
the last few weeks.
The dude isn't Larry Zonka.
That's
No.
for sure.
That's all I'm saying. Not Larry Zonka. I didn't mean Larry Zonka. I meant the
Brian
Bears.
Urlacher?
Who's the Bears linebacker from years ago?
Mike Singletary,
No, I meant the Hall of Fame one.
Brian Urlacher.
Mike Ditka.
Go back to the
Oh, that's the tight
60s.
end. I'm tripping.
Survey set. Go back to the 60s. Said
Mike,
you
no,
know,
he's
I'm
a tight
thinking,
end.
but I'm
Oh God,
missing.
son, I'm embarrassed. Keep talking. I'm gonna
George
look up. It's
Halas?
embarrassing. George Halas, dude, come on.
Just say any name. 90% of our listeners are going like, what? I don't know any of these people.
I'm not that old.
You did better than I. You did better than I would, Jamal. I wouldn't. I would not be able to pull out any
You
names.
guys are pathetic.
Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe, dude. Good God. See, now I'm embarrassed that I just can't come up with a name.
Because Steve's internet connection is also from the 60s.
Well, yeah, that's there's some truth into that. We've had some issues.
Okay, so Brown is the obvious one. I'm all in on trying to get Breland
Dick
back.
Dick Butkus. Thank you very much.
Butkus, okay.
Yes.
That's a name I do know.
My point is, Zach Brown is not Dick Butkus.
No, I don't
That's
think
my
anyone's
point.
saying he is, but he's the
I think
best.
some Redskin fans are under
No,
the
you do
distinct
get that.
impression
I
that
do
that's
get that
exactly
impression.
what he is.
See, I would just say he's the best inside linebacker we've had in 5
No, I
years.
was saying I get that impression
What's
all
that,
the time
Jamal?
because people overvalue what he really means to the team, but he's not. He is the element of speed for this defense. He is that very element of speed, and he's the only type of speed we have, and he's a game changer with his speed. However, with his speed comes many flaws, and that's the thing that hurts him because, I mean, even though his speed makes up for it, but he does struggle in
Sure.
areas that we need a linebacker to perform better in. And he constantly is out of position in key situations.
Right.
So, I mean, that just sucks.
And he makes up for it because he is so fast. He can sometimes get back into position, make the play anyway. He does what Sean Taylor did.
Right.
He just had a ton of speed, and so I think that's probably why, frankly, he only got a 1-year contract coming into this season. I'm not saying don't re-sign him. We should re-sign him, but he has flaws,
I get you.
and anybody who's out there who thinks he doesn't have flaws, you just haven't been paying attention.
No, he definitely has flaws,
Yeah.
but I would still keep him in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right, well, let's put the kibosh on this thing now. Do we want to throw out some really quick guesses, by the way,
yeah,
and
we
then
gotta do that.
officially end this thing? Okay, let's do some real quick guesses. I already wrote one, so I'll start if you guys
Go for
want.
Go ahead.
I said, okay, the Redskins have too little to play for, and the Chargers far too much to play for this week. And we're super beaten up, as we all know. So I think we get more of the same. I think the Redskins are able to score, but not enough. Let's call it 14-28.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to be more positive because I do think the Redskins have something to play for. I do think they want to win, and they've had some rest. They've had a mini bye. So I'm going to say the Redskins win this one, something along the lines of 24-20.
I'll go next. I wish that I could say we were going to go 4-0 in the last 4, but I just don't see it. And it just makes too much sense that we'll lose this game. So, Chargers 21, Redskins 17.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in about a month, really, that I actually called us losing. But I think the Chargers take it. I really, it's going to be close, but I don't know if we'll be able to recover in terms of pick up the momentum that we had when we believed that we were still in it. If that makes any sense. I think the mentality has changed. They're not going to quit on the season. They're going to play hard, but I don't think they'll be able to have that that they really need to finish this season on a strong note. So I would say the Redskins lose a close one. Probably a 27-21, 27-20-ish.
Well, once again, we've covered all possible contingencies, so we will be right.
Somebody will be
in our
right.
There we
prediction.
go.
Yeah.
There we go. We've got 100% success rate because of that this year, I think. All right, beautiful. We've kept you folks too long. Get back to your lives. Enjoy your weeks. You get a break before you have to watch some more Redskins football this weekend. And we will see you after the game. Take care.
Before you have to watch Redskins football. Awesome.
Yup.
And yet, please listen to our show, even though you're not encouraged to actually watch the games.